The RMD age is changing again. New legislation and how it impacts your retirement right now on Retiring Today. This is Retiring Today. I'm here with Loren Merkle and Haley Gutschenritter. Loren is a certified financial planner, a certified financial fiduciary, and a retirement income certified professional. And Haley is a certified financial planner. You know, so you guys are you're kind of well-versed in reading legislation these days because, Loren, legislation has passed again that changes the landscape of retirement again.
Again is key there. It feels like it wasn't that long ago we were talking about breaking news, Secure Act 1.0. It changes how people inherit IRAs, and here we are 3 short years later. We're talking about breaking news, Secure Act 2.0, and all of the ramifications that this legislation is going to have. We're talking 300 pages of legislation, including over 90 retirement planning provisions.
And don't worry, we're not going to talk about all 90 provisions. Today we want to talk about the ones that we feel will impact you the most. And the first one we want to make sure that we discuss in this episode, Haley, is the RMD change.
The RMDs are changing. So it was once 70.5 and then 70.5, and then Secure Act 1.0 changed it to 72, and now it's 73. So the RMDs, this is very confusing for a lot of people because what's happening is that the custodians aren't necessarily getting this information out quickly. And so they're sending out this form that says, hey, you're mandated to take an RMD, when really you may not be mandated to take an RMD because it did get pushed back to age 73. So it's wildly confusing. You may be getting some mixed messaging, mixed signals. That's important to talk with a planner to see if you really are truly mandated to take out an RMD based on the most current updated legislation changes.
Okay, so if you got a letter in the mail that says you're supposed to take your RMD, that could not necessarily be true, because let's make sure we were crystal clear on what the new rules are and when they went into effect.
Yeah, if you receive a letter in the mail saying you have to take an RMD, if you've already been taking RMDs on your accounts, then you need to continue taking your RMDs. So this confusion is really applying to those who were going to turn age 72 this year in 2023. So if you're turning 72 this year, you were, underneath the old legislation, you were supposed to start your required minimum distribution, or your RMD. But because the Secure Act 2.0 was passed in December, right before Christmas, the custodians, the places where your money is at, the TD Ameritrades, the Charles Schwabs, the Vanguards, they haven't had a chance to update their records, and so they're pushing out these automated generated letters saying that you're required to take out a distribution, where in fact you are not.
Okay, so we're going to focus on RMDs today, but we're going to do 2 parts on Secure Act 2.0. In the second episode, we'll talk about Roth, the changes to Roth, and the changes to catch-up contributions, and the changes to 529 plans. So let's back up just a little bit. We kind of got to the changes on RMDs, but I think it's worth reminding everybody exactly what an RMD is and what accounts an RMD applies to.
RMD stands for Required Minimum Distribution, and if it's your account, once you reach a certain age, so for some of you it's 70.5, for some of you it's 72, now for some of you it's 73, and for many of you younger individuals it's going to be age 75, much later down the road. You are going to be mandated to take out a small distribution based on your life expectancy, or the IRS life expectancy table. And the whole reason that this is a mandate is because when you started investing in your pre-tax 401ks or your pre-tax IRAs, you made a deal with the IRS saying you're not going to pay taxes on that contribution. You're also not going to pay taxes on the growth until one day much later down the road you take that money out as income, and then you're going to pay taxes on the money you put in, as well as the growth when you take it out. So the required minimum distribution is saying it's a way that the IRS knows that they're going to be able to charge a tax on that money, because even if you haven't started taking distributions at 70.5 or 72.3 or 75, they're going to mandate you take money out, because then they can tax you on that distribution.
The government does kind of make a lot of rules about what we have to do with retirement. So when they keep changing things like this, Loren, why should people care?
Well, it's one thing when you want to take money out from your pre-tax accounts. It's a whole nother different game when you're mandated to take distributions out from your accounts. And then on top of that, these distributions that you have to take out are now going to be taxed at your ordinary income tax bracket. And at RMD age, you're already taking your Social Security, which you're not going to turn off. You don't want to turn off. Maybe you have a pension, not going to turn that off. All that's taxable income. Add on the required distributions to that, it can create a mess in a hurry. Which is why, Haley, I think you put together a really nice example of how when you take control over your tax situation versus when you don't, it can have a big outcome in retirement.
It can. So let me show you, because this is why we start planning for our family's RMDs far in advance. So this is a real life situation, but I'm just going to call her Mary for simplicity purposes. And when I met with Mary, she told me, she's like, Haley, I'm not worried about running out of income. I'm single. I know what my budget is. But after you were talking about taxes, I realized that that can have a huge impact for me, because all I have done is save and save and save in this pre-tax 401k. And I know that when I hit age 73, I'm going to be mandated to take this out. So this is what I showed Mary. Mary, this is with no tax plan, no tax planning strategies involved. And currently she is still working. So each one of these blue bars, what they represent is the amount of taxes that Mary would pay in that year. And so if she's still working and plans to retire at 2024, that means that these two blue bars are going to be a bit higher because she still has W-2 wages. But then when she retires, look what happens to her tax bill. It goes down. And the reason why is because she doesn't have any earned income anymore, and she's just living off of what she needs. So her CPA is honestly probably throwing her a party over these next several years because her retirement tax bill is so low. But then guess what happens when Mary turns age 73? Her retirement tax bill shoots up sky high and it never comes back down. And this is what we're referencing as that tax torpedo, because now Mary has pension income, she has Social Security income, and she has these big RMD mandates that she has to take out, and she loses control over these retirement tax bills for the rest of her retirement. So what I told Mary is, hey, this is where we have opportunity. This is where we can implement some effective tax strategies like Roth conversions, and we can do something about this retirement tax torpedo later on in retirement. And this is what that looks like. So each year, what we're doing is we're doing a Roth conversion and we're maximizing her income tax bracket. And so every single year, we're choosing to pay more in taxes, but it's the saying, short-term pain for long-term gain, because look what happens to her retirement tax bill when she turns age 73. Now she's not mandated to take as much out because she did all the work within these years to shift that money over from a pre-tax account over to a Roth where it can now grow tax-free. And the difference between these two pictures is about $400,000. So could you imagine $400,000 that you no longer have to give to the IRS, and it's now in your pocket for your retirement?
And that's why we say when we talk about tax planning, or really the retirement planning in general, in retirement, it's not about what you make. It's about what you get to keep, and it's about what you get to spend. And Haley, what you highlighted there was how Mary could spend an extra $400,000 over the course of her retirement just by decreasing her overall retirement tax bill. But that's a really hard thing to get your mind wrapped around, because what you showed Mary did is she intentionally, consciously made the decision to say, I'm going to pay more taxes for the first 5 to 7 years in retirement than what you actually had to. But it's like you said, short-term pain, long-term gain, and $400,000 is very meaningful for most retirees.
You might be wondering if a tax planning strategy like this could work for you. Well, you can talk directly to a retirement planner. Ask tax planning questions. Ask retirement questions that might be on your mind during a 15-minute retirement checkup call. This is a complimentary call that you can schedule right now by going to merkleplan.com. There's a calendar there. Choose a time and a date that works for you. We will continue talking about Secure Act 2.0 and RMDs next.
Do I have enough saved for retirement? When should I take Social Security? Which Medicare option is best? How do I plan for inflation? Sometimes the road to retirement starts with more questions than answers. We're here to help. Join us for our upcoming Journey to Retirement workshop. Get answers and start your retirement journey with confidence. Our online workshop includes information on Secure Act 2.0 and changing retirement rules. Visit retirewithmerkle.com to register for an upcoming workshop. Your retirement journey starts now.
Anytime I have even the smallest question about my accounts or what effect the latest tax law might have on my situation, the Merkle Retirement Planning team is always there and quick to help. I'm so glad they treat you like family. I'm so happy to have such an excellent team working for my future and ensuring I do the best to achieve my financial goals.
Merkle Retirement Planning. Your retirement starts here.
This is Retiring Today. We're continuing the conversation about Secure Act 2.0, and it made a lot of changes to RMDs, which of course those required minimum distributions. Let's stay on 2023 because we know now the age is 73. Okay, the next things that happen is now you don't have to pay as big of a penalty if you forget to take out your RMDs.
What a big reason to celebrate if you miss your required minimum distribution, because with all those rules, it's so easy to understand exactly when you have to take it out. But sometimes people make mistakes. You miss your required minimum distribution underneath old law. That's a 50% penalty on what you were mandated to take out. So as an example, let's say your required minimum distribution was $7,000. You missed it for whatever reason. That's a $3,500 penalty, plus you still have to take out the $7,000 and be taxed on that distribution. So the penalty was decreased in half to 25%, which means instead of $3,500 in penalty, that's only $1,750 in penalty. But they go further and they say, if you take your required minimum distribution out within a reasonable time, which is roughly about 2 years based on their calculation, then they will decrease that penalty further to only 10%. So instead of $1,750 penalty, it would be a $700 penalty. Substantially different than 50%, which was the old law. So this is in effect this year. Mistakes taken on RMDs, you forget to take it out, you take it out late, 25 or maybe even 10% penalty.
And let's talk about those penalties. Who's assessing them, and how do you essentially get penalized?
That's an IRS penalty. So if they find it within the tax filing, they'll send you a letter typically and say, wait a minute, you didn't take out the required minimum distribution, so you owe X in penalty. Or even if you get audited, they're going to dig through all your records and that's going to come up that way. But it's initiated through the IRS.
And people, I'm sure, are aware of these penalties and don't want to pay them. Obviously, who wants to pay a penalty? But then you get a letter from your carrier saying you have to take out your RMDs, and I'm going to avoid the penalty. Yes, I'm going to take out
Absolutely.
my RMD, but now I don't have to take them until I'm 73. I mean, jeepers. If you're trying to do this on your own, I can see where a lot of mistakes can be made if you're not working with somebody who's following all of this legislation.
It can get messy in a hurry, and that's why it's so important for us to stay on top of these legislative changes, because that's not the families that we work with, that's not their job, right? They can kind of look on their own and pay attention if they want to, but the reason we're involved in their plan is so they don't have to. And they can focus on the fun things in retirement, which is the traveling and the grandkids and wintering down south and all that kind of stuff that you have been dreaming about for the last 40 years. That's what you want to focus on, and the families that we work with can leave all that kind of stuff up to us.
Yeah. Another part of the Secure Act 2.0 that goes into effect in 2024 is they're taking away the RMD on the Roth 401k.
That's exactly right. And honestly, that's very exciting because most people would not prefer to take an RMD from their Roth 401k because they would rather have those dollars growing tax-free. And a Roth 401k, what that is if you have an employer-sponsored plan that you're contributing after-tax dollars to, then that money gets to continuously grow tax-free. And currently, under legislation, if you're RMD age, they're mandating you to take a distribution from that Roth umbrella.
And this change kind of just makes sense to me, right? Because Roth IRAs, you paid the taxes on them long ago, they're growing tax-free. There's no RMDs on those because you already paid the taxes. To me, RMDs are we want to get your tax money. So this just makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense because it makes it less confusing. The Roth 401k plan, you have to take an RMD. Yeah. The Roth IRA, you don't have to take an RMD. So starting next year, 2024, it's gonna the synergies are gonna be there where you don't have to take an RMD from either the Roth 401k or the Roth IRA.
And I'm glad you said the word synergy. That's kind of a buzzword. I like the word synergy because I think of, I'm going to do this here. I think of a comprehensive retirement plan as the ultimate synergy. It is a synergy between my tax plan, my income plan, my investment plan, my healthcare plan, all the things working together to really maximize retirement.
That's exactly what it is. All of those things will go into helping you identify what's the best way to use these resources that you've spent a lifetime collecting to provide you with this freedom of time, which is really retirement. And during this freedom of time, you have all kinds of dreams that you want to try to accomplish. And that's why I really like the online Journey to Retirement workshop that we put together, because through that online workshop, we can identify different strategies that work really well for our hypothetical couple, John and Sue, to accomplish their dreams. And your dreams might be a little bit different, but we're going to talk specifically about how they use the up to 81 different Social Security options. What do they do from a tax planning standpoint to mitigate the impact of their required minimum distributions? So the tax planning strategies, the legacy planning, investment planning, all of those things go together to help them achieve their retirement goals.
And you really get to understand what having a retirement plan means, because often a lot of people think a retirement plan is just a one-time transaction. You come in, you get a plan, and it's done. But retirement, it lasts 20 to 30 years, so it's this ongoing relationship. And you never know what the future is going to hold. There's some things that we can plan for, but there's also going to be curveballs down the road, and you get to finally see what having a retirement plan means, but also working with somebody who's able to manage this plan over the next 20 to 30 years of your lifetime.
Well, this legislation is a great example of why it isn't a one-time transaction, because when this legislation went into effect in late 2022, right away, we're reaching out to the families and individuals we work with. We're saying, your RMD is changing, here's how this is going to impact your plan. I mean, there's no way you can't anticipate that legislation is going to continue to change and it's going to continue to impact retirement.
Yeah, it's always changed, it's always going to change, and it's always going to have an impact on what your retirement plan is. And it's something that has to be baked into your plan. Your written retirement plan is really powerful, but it's written, so it's static. It itself doesn't change unless somebody changes that. The power of that plan is it accurately should reflect the strategies you're going to implement to achieve your retirement vision. So that written plan has to be updated with the changes to help you make these important decisions that you're going to have to make as you go through the course of retirement.
You're getting an idea of what a written retirement plan looks like, what a comprehensive retirement plan looks like. But I've got an opportunity that will give you the complete picture. It's our online Journey to Retirement workshop. Check out your screen right now. There's a website. It's retirewithmerkle.com, or there's a QR code there. You can open up your phone, find the camera, hover over there. You're going to go right to a link. You're going to take that link and you're going to scroll down and you're going to choose a time and a date that works for you. Then you can get comfy wherever, your couch, your office, whatever works best for you, and devote some time to learning about your journey to retirement. We're going to devote a little bit more time to Secure Act 2.0 because there's a couple more things that people need to know about RMDs when Retiring Today continues.
The Merkle Retirement Planning Team provides personable and professional expertise unrivaled in this area. They include us in every step of the planning process. The peace of mind provided to us by the Merkle team allows us to fully enjoy this special time of our lives. Instead of feeling snakebit, we feel confident that with the Merkle Retirement Planning Team at our sides, we can navigate any challenge that comes our way.
Merkle Retirement Planning. Your retirement starts here.
Do I have enough saved for retirement? When should I take Social Security? Which Medicare option is best? How do I plan for inflation? Sometimes the road to retirement starts with more questions than answers. We're here to help. Join us for our upcoming Journey to Retirement workshop. Get answers and start your retirement journey with confidence. Our online workshop includes information on Secure Act 2.0 and changing retirement rules. Visit retirewithmerkle.com to register for an upcoming workshop. Your retirement journey starts now.
This is Retiring Today. I'm here with Loren Merkle and Haley Gutschenritter. We'll continue our conversations about RMDs. We know the Secure Act changed the RMD age. By the way, it's 73. It's moving again to 75 in 2033, right?
That's correct.
Yep.
So stand by. We know legislation will continue to change, but one thing that stays constant is that you guys like to help people take control of their retirement. And you think about RMDs as something that does happen to you, but you don't have to be a victim to them. So we want to make sure people understand maybe a few more of the strategies around RMDs. So Haley, what are some of the other things? You mentioned Roth conversion. What are some other things that you talk to families about?
Yeah, so one uncommon strategy is that you can actually delay your first RMD. So if this is your first time ever taking an RMD, you have a longer time horizon to satisfy that. Typically, RMDs must come out every December 31st of each year. But if this is your first one, you can extend that to April of the following year. And why that could be important is because if you are retiring and you're going to realize a large lump sum taxable distribution, or maybe a severance payout, whatever that could be, that may be worthwhile looking into to see if I have to take an RMD, should I pay taxes on this RMD the same year I have this huge lump sum taxable distribution, or should I delay the RMD to the following year, pay the taxes on 2 RMDs, but still the difference could be thousands of dollars.
It's just a nice option to be aware of. More options are better if you're aware of those options and how to use them within your overall plan. That's one that not a lot of people know of, but if you do, at least evaluate, does it make sense to take your first RMD in that year, or does it make sense to kick it to the next year? And many people don't kick it to the next year, but it's at least nice to know.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little about the, logistics of an RMD. So what do you guys see? Mostly taking them from 401ks, mostly from IRAs, most people aware of them, turn them on, do it themselves, the carriers. I mean, how are you thinking about how does this all work when it's time?
Ultimately, the responsibility is on you. So you have to take that RMD. If the carrier doesn't notify you or the custodian doesn't notify you, which they should, but sometimes that gets lost in the mail or whatever.
Or the letter's wrong, by the way. I just want to point that out.
Or the letter's wrong, that does happen.
That's tricky.
Yeah, but ultimately it's on you. Most people don't leave their 401k plans behind at RMD age, and there's a lot of reasons for that. So most RMDs are going to come from an IRA, but you have to make sure you're taking it out. It's on you. The carriers should send a letter. If you're working with somebody, a planner or an advisor, they should be helping you doing that as well.
And this can be a strategy too, because if you have multiple different types of IRA accounts, so let's say you do have a 401k plan and a traditional IRA and maybe a fixed income annuity IRA. If you have multiple different types of IRAs, you don't have to take the distribution from each of those accounts separately. You just have to take the total RMD mandate out from wherever you want, but that can be a strategy because there may be an account balance that hasn't lost so much due to the market, and that could be a better strategy to take it from that account versus taking it from each and every account.
Yeah, it reminds me, I met with an individual a few years ago. He was 75 when I first met him, and his RMD age was 70 and a half. He had some old money underneath an old employer plan that he just left behind. Didn't know or forgot he had to take an RMD from it for 5 years, and that's underneath the 50% penalty time frame.
That could be a lot.
It hurts, and these RMD rules are always changing, and it's confusing, so it's just nice to make sure that those RMDs should be within your overall plan, and it's written down so you know you have to take X amount this year, X amount next year, and then here's the deadline in your plan to do so.
And I suppose it's not unheard of for people to forget about a 401k. I mean, if you think about a 40-year career, you left it with an old employer, you might forget to calculate that into what you need to take for an RMD.
Yeah, it's definitely not unheard of to forget about maybe leftover accounts because again, this is when you get to retirement, I mean, we are talking 40, 50 plus years of investing. So if there's an IRA out there that you maybe have forgotten about, it's not unheard of. And this is why it's important to kind of clean up that junk drawer of retirement accounts so that everything's in one place. It's much more consolidated and easier to find.
Yeah, it makes the case for kind of getting everything organized. So one way to get organized if you're starting to think about retirement or that journey to retirement is to educate yourself, to really sit down and dive into what is all coming, what all the decisions that are happening. In that Journey to Retirement workshop, Loren, it is going to outline for people, hey, here's what is going to happen as you move to and through retirement.
Yeah, we cover all 6 components of the retirement plan, which is going to be through a hypothetical couple named John and Sue. We talk about what their lifestyle looks like, what their retirement vision is, and then we show you their 5 financial components and the planning strategies they use to accomplish that retirement vision. So we're talking about the income plan and the Social Security strategies that coincide with the income plan. We're talking about the tax plan and the Roth conversion strategies, and we specifically talk about their retirement tax bill, how much their retirement tax bill is, and by implementing specific strategies, how they can decrease that retirement tax bill and save themselves tens of thousands of dollars on their retirement tax bill over the course of their retirement.
So here's the information. It's on your screen. It's our Journey to Retirement workshop. You can grab your phone. There's a QR code there. You know that works. Grab that camera. It'll send you right to a link. The link has a choice for you, a choice of dates and times that work best for you. You can choose that date and time and then get comfortable, because you've got 2 hours ahead of you where you are going to learn about your retirement journey. Here's something else fun that happens once you sign up for the Journey to Retirement workshop. You get a kit from us. This has a workbook in it. It's also got some fun sort of journey travel type themed things inside of it. And that workbook is really valuable, Haley, because not only can people follow along, take notes, but we were part of putting this workbook together. It's got extra information that you guys, quite frankly, just didn't have time to get into the Journey to Retirement workshop.
There's so much information. It's completely invaluable. When I met with a family who came to this workshop, they had pages and pages of notes. And the reason why is because this starts to get you thinking about things that you've never thought about before. Chances are is that you only want to retire once, so you probably haven't done this multiple times. So we start to bring up the conversations, the concerns, the things that you should be thinking about as you approach retirement, or if you're already retired. And that conversation starter really gets you thinking, and before you know it, you're going to have pages of notes.
When we sit down with families for the first time, I think one of the most common phrases that we hear is people tell us, they say, we don't know what we don't know, and then we watch the online Journey to Retirement workshop, and it just opens their eyes to so much that's out there that you've never really had to think about before, because you've only retired or only want to retire once. And that's why we say you get one chance to get this right, because once you retire, you don't want to be forced out of retirement. I remember back in 2008 when the market blew up and people lost 40, 50, 60% of their life savings. A lot of people had to postpone retirement or come out of retirement, and you don't want to have that happen. That's the importance of having the plan, and we cover all of that in the online Journey to Retirement workshop.
Yeah, and I feel like the workshop will answer a lot of questions, but it's okay if you have a lot of questions after you watch it, because John and Sue, you're going to see yourselves in John and Sue, but you're not going to completely see yourselves in them. You might not be married. You might not have the same goals as John and Sue, but either way, I know if you watch this Journey to Retirement workshop, you are going to learn a lot. You'll also learn a lot by watching this show. It's Retiring Today, and we thank you for watching.
Do I have enough saved for retirement? When should I take Social Security? Which Medicare option is best? How do I plan for inflation? Sometimes the road to retirement starts with more questions than answers. We're here to help. Join us for our upcoming Journey to Retirement workshop. Get answers and start your retirement journey with confidence. Our online workshop includes information on Secure Act 2.0 and changing retirement rules. Visit retirewithmerkle.com to register for an upcoming workshop. Your retirement journey starts now.